Now we come to the Insurance Hall of Fame. The Insurance Hall of Fame was established in 1957 to recognize those leaders who have made lasting contributions to the industry and to the world. These are the giants in our industry whose work has transformed how we do business, and as a result, they serve as a source of inspiration for leaders of today and tomorrow. The Insurance Hall of Fame is recognized as the preeminent award in the insurance industry. The award highlights the personal achievements of the laureates and also the significant contribution to the companies the honoree represents. Tonight, I am honored to induct Prem Watsa, founder, chairman, and CEO of Fairfax Financial Holdings, into the Insurance Hall of Fame. With a distinguished career spanning over 4 decades in investment management, Prem has solidified his reputation as a visionary leader in the financial sector. After starting his career at Confederation Life, Prem ventured into entrepreneurship by co-founding Hamlin Watsa Investment Counsel in 1984. The following year, he orchestrated the acquisition of a small Canadian insurance company, transforming it into Fairfax Financial, a holding company listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange that has achieved remarkable and global success. Under his leadership, Fairfax has grown into a leading global commercial line insurance company and reinsurance group through a dual focus on underwriting profitability and total return value investing. Beyond his corporate endeavors, Prem is deeply engaged in philanthropy and community service. He serves on the boards of several prestigious institutions and is the president of the Horatio Alger Association of Canada. Among his accolades, Prem was appointed as the 9th Chancellor of the University of Waterloo in 2009, named a member of the Order of Canada in 2015, and awarded the Padma Shri, the 4th highest civilian award of India, in 2020. Please turn your attention to the screen to hear more about Prem.
A luminary in the world of finance, investment, and insurance, Prem Watsa grew up cherishing the values of hard work and education.
All my values come from India. My dad was a hard worker, great athlete, and became the vice principal of a really good school.
It was called the Hyderabad Public School. The school started for princes and things, so it's a really, really good school.
I'd never be able to go to that school other than my dad was vice principal.
Guided by his father's influence, Prem pursued chemical engineering at the prestigious Indian Institute of Technology. It was here that he met his future wife, Nalini.
He was really handsome. Didn't know where it's going, but we met a few times, and when we knew we loved each other, he immediately told my mother that he wanted to marry me, which is not done these days.
Diploma in hand and recently engaged, Prem took a giant leap, moving halfway around the world to attend Western University. His 3-year plan? Earn his MBA, establish a home in Canada, and save money to get married.
But after a year, because he can hustle and he did some odd jobs selling air conditioners, he said, I made enough money, so why don't we get married a year earlier? And as soon as I came, we got married here. My grandmother had great foresight, and she whispered to me before I left, she said, remember, this is the boy the family will depend on. And that was a strange statement when I knew that he was penniless. So I didn't know what she meant. But now I know.
Prem's career ignited when he landed his first job at Confederation Life.
So I'm called for the second interview. There were 4 of us called. Later on, I found out of the 4, I was the only guy who showed up. That changed my life. My boss was John Watson. He introduced me to value investing. He introduced me to Ben Graham. And it was the road to Damascus.
A trucking insurance company caught his attention. The small public company was facing financial difficulty, and Prem saw opportunity. He orchestrated a complex acquisition, but the clock was ticking, and Prem was still millions short.
Then it struck me, one last call. Maybe a company I worked for 9 years, they might lend me the money. They said yes. And then we had control of our company. I'm 35 years old. I've never been on a board. I've never been CEO. I don't know what a CEO does. And suddenly I'm CEO of this company.
And the name itself, Fairfax, is interesting. It was coined by a secretary when very on in the first year, she suggested that it would be Fair and Friendly Acquisitions. From that came the acronym Fairfax.
And that's how our name began, just like that. And we bought the first 100 shares that traded under the name Fairfax for Brenda Adams, our secretary, and we put it in a frame so she couldn't sell it. By the time she retired, she was a very happy lady.
Prem's insurance philosophy was threefold. Be a disciplined underwriter, decentralized so that your CEOs have true autonomy, and, perhaps the most important to Prem, treat people the way you want to be treated. As Fairfax grew through acquisitions, Prem's principled approach became the unifying fabric, integrating diverse companies into a cohesive and values-driven Fairfax family.
It's all about the team. The job of the leader is to create an environment where each of the members of the team can contribute to the very limits of their talent. And guess what happens in that kind of environment? The talents expand.
Prem is one of the friendliest people I've ever met. When you talk to him, he cares more about you. He's not talking about himself. He always has your back. He's your biggest cheerleader.
Because Fairfax is a team sport. President Reagan had this rule that anything in the world is possible if you don't care who gets the credit.
Today, with $33 billion annually in property casualty premiums, Fairfax is recognized as one of the top commercial insurance companies in the world. It stands as a testament to Prem's vision, strategy, and ethics.
Fairfax has had a policy for many, many years that each of its companies are expected to donate 1% of pre-tax profits to charity. Several years ago, Prem decided to make that 2%.
Prem has been an absolutely incredible contributor to the success of SICKIS. When you hear him speak about the work that they're doing at the Investment and Pension Committee and what that means in making the lives of our children better while they're going through treatment, and it's just so inspiring and really is another reason to say what a fantastic Canadian Prem is.
It's terrific to see that one can do extremely well in business and at the same time be extraordinarily thoughtful citizens of the country or the neighborhoods in which you operate.
Prem is a visionary leader whose wisdom and foresight have left an indelible mark on the financial landscape in Canada and across the globe. Prem, we are so pleased to have you with us tonight. Please join me on stage. Place this on you.
Thank you very much, Josh. And it's really nice to see all of you here. It is a great honor. Good evening, my friends. When I'm in a position like this, I remember this little story where this old fellow had become very wealthy, and a young reporter said, how did you do that? And he said, it was the depths of the Great Depression, 1932. I was down to my last nickel, he said. I invested that nickel in an apple, polished it, and sold it for 10 cents. The next day, took the 2 apples, polished it, sold it for 20 cents. And he said, I did that for a month and I had $1.37. And he said, I had built a fortune, $1.30. And the young reporter says, that's how you built an empire? He says, heavens no, he says. Then my wife's father died and left us $2 million. Now that didn't happen to me, unfortunately. But it is such a pleasure to be here. And I wanted to thank you, the International Insurance Society, Landau, and the Executive Council of the IIS for this great honor. Fairfax and myself are grateful to be conducted in the Insurance Hall of Fame. Now, Fairfax is a Canadian story, really North American. It is an immigrant story, an immigrant who was welcomed to Canada 52 years ago. I had no money, never bought a stock before, never knew anyone in business because my father was an educator and a teacher who, as you saw in the video, ultimately became the principal of a great school. And my 3 siblings and I were blessed to be raised by 2 wonderful parents. So 52 years ago, I never, in my wildest imagination, thought I'd be standing here in front of you getting such an award. But Fairfax is an entrepreneurial story that could only have taken place, in my humble opinion, in North America, Canada, or the United States. When we took control, as you saw, of Fairfax 39 years ago, in 1985, it was a small public company listed in Toronto. It had never made $1 million in its history. And last year, a lot of good fortune, we made $4.4 billion. Its gross premiums were $10 million, and as you saw last year was $33 billion. And our stock was $3.23. And if you were so fortunate to buy it, it traded on Friday at $19.15, no stock split. And it's up about 600 times. So I look back with a ton of humility and gratitude, and to all those people in my life that made this happen. And so I wanted to very quickly tell you who they were. This is an opportunity for me to thank them. First of all, of course, I've been married to my wife, Nalini, who's right here, for 51 years. And I would not be here if not for her. Nalini. We have 3 healthy, hardworking children, Ben, Christine, and Stephanie, and my daughter-in-law, Molly, and son-in-law, Quinn, and 5 beautiful grandchildren. So we've been mightily blessed. And my daughters are here, Christine and Stephanie are here tonight. We're very thankful to the good Lord for all of them. I'm also very thankful to my extended family, my brother and my sisters, all settled in Canada. Of course, as I said earlier, this is a Canadian story. And Canada was built on free enterprise, just like the United States, that allows companies to prosper. After graduating with my business degree, my life changed when John Watson, you saw, hired me as from Confederation Life as an investment analyst. And John told me, forget about what you learned in your MBA school. You got to read Security Analysis by Ben Graham. He introduced me to Ben Graham, who's the father of value investing. And my road to Damascus had begun. I asked Nalini if we had a son, could we name him Ben? She agreed, and we had a son. And that is how Ben got his name. And he's a great long-term value investor himself. 9 years later, I was 9 years at Confed. My life changed again when Tony Arrell offered me a job at Gardner Watson, small investment broker in Toronto. And I'd become a vice president at Confederation Life. Good job, stable, and these guys were offering me a job with no guarantee of salary. And I went and asked Nalini if she would allow me to do this, and she said fine. And if she had said no, I would not have taken it. And it was there that I met a fellow by, some of you would know, Francis Chu, who introduced me to the concept of float for an insurance company. So a big thank you to Tony and Francis. At Fairfax, we always wanted to build a good company, one based on guiding principles that emphasized honesty and integrity in business and building a business over the long term. Our culture was based on the golden rule. Treat people like you want to be treated yourself. And as mentioned by Josh, Fairfax was built on underwriting profitability and a long-term value investing. And so I've been really fortunate to have an outstanding team that I've worked with all these years. Fairfax officers, our presidents of our decentralized operations, our investment partners, and our directors. I want to particularly thank Andy Bernard, who runs our insurance business. Many of you have run into Andy. Andy's been with us for 30 years, just like Peter Clark, our president of the holding company. And we have been very fortunate that they've been with us for such a long time. Brian Young has recently joined Andy Bernard and Peter Clark in running the insurance group after being at Odyssey for almost 30 years and the last 12 as CEO. And Brian is here with us tonight. Brian, give him a nice round of applause. And Mark Adey, who runs Crum & Foster and is on a panel tomorrow, is also here tonight. Mark, where are you hiding? Mark. If you'll bear with me for a few more minutes, Roger Lace, Brian Bradstreet, and I've worked for almost 50 years. The thing about our company is there's a tremendous amount of sustainability. People stay there for a long time. It's quite extraordinary. And our lead director, Bill McFarland, on the board, public company, been a terrific supporter of Fairfax. And as you've heard Andy say in the video, we have a policy of donating 2% of pre-tax profits to the communities we operate in. Our whole company, when we began in 1985, the whole company was worth $2 million. This year, when a company is successful, we'll donate $80 million to the countries we do business in. It's amazing when I look at business. You know, I've been doing this for 39 years. When a business does well, its customers benefit, its employees benefit, its shareholders benefit, and so do the communities it operates in. And some years ago, I realized governments also benefit from the taxes we pay. The whole idea of all these beneficiaries, we call this doing good by doing well. We never forget that we have to do well first over the long term so that we can do good. As the Chinese proverb reminds us, if you want happiness for an hour, take a nap. If you want happiness for a day, go fishing. If you want happiness for a year, inherit a fortune. But if you want happiness for a lifetime, help somebody. And I want to acknowledge publicly the many blessings that I've had all my life. Fairfax has been a labor of love for all of our leaders of our company. I think of the good Lord owning everything, and we are just stewards of what He entrusts us with. I have arranged my affairs so that even after my death, Fairfax will not be subject to a takeover and continue to be a global company operating with our guiding principles. So business has a huge impact in the world, I've found, and with the good Lord's help, it's become a calling for me. So let me close with two quotations that perhaps will help you. One from my dad, who said, work as hard as you can, as though everything depended on you. Pray as hard as you can, as though everything depended on God. And finally, the second quotation is my favorite one. What profited the man if you gained the whole world but lost your soul? So ladies and gentlemen, I'm so honored to get this award, and I thank you very much for allowing me to speak to you. Thank you very much.